This podcast is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania. With a new year may come new windows or doors, and you can currently get $400 off every window and $800 off every door at Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania from now through January 31st. Call 717-727-7558 or drop by rbacentralpa.com/deals for more information. A heart monitor supplier has to pay almost $15 million after signing people up for services they didn't need. In Philadelphia, radio stations will undergo some changes as their parent company prepares to file for bankruptcy. Dozens of TGI Fridays will close. Lastly, D.B. Cooper may have a connection to Pennsylvania. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and you're listening to Today in PA. Biotelemetry Inc., a heart monitor supplier based out of Chester County, was accused by the Justice Department of signing patients across the country up for unnecessary services from 2014 to 2020, reports the Philadelphia Inquirer. By doing this, Biotelemetry, along with its subsidiary LifeWatch Services, was able to bill Medicare and other federal insurers at least 5 times as much as what the actual appropriate level of care for these patients would have cost. Biotelemetry and LifeWatch have denied these allegations. Nevertheless, their owner, Royal Philips NV, announced this week that they agreed to settle last month at the price of $14.7 million. Audacy, which is a radio company headquartered in Philadelphia, plans on filing for bankruptcy, reports the Philadelphia Inquirer. Audacy released this news on Tuesday, revealing how it's currently struggling with $1.9 billion in debt along with an advertising slump. As the company owns hundreds of stations, you may recognize some, like 94.1 WIP and New 96.5. And if you're a fan of any of their stations, there's some good news. Since Audacy negotiated a plan with its lenders, it's expected that you won't notice any day-to-day impact while listening to the stations you love. However, the talent of these shows may get switched up a bit, like John Marks, a WIP co-host who left the station in part because of Audacy's financial situation. Further information regarding this coming bankruptcy remains pending. TGI Fridays is shutting down 36 of its restaurants nationwide, states PennLive. Not because of bankruptcy, but as part of the chain's, quote, ongoing growth strategy, unquote, that involves a reorganization of its leadership and the sale of some of its restaurants back to its former CEO, Ray Blanchett. These restaurants that are closing down, one of which is located in Abington Township, Montgomery County, are all underperforming. It was in 1971 when the infamous criminal D.B. Cooper hijacked a plane and escaped via parachute with $200,000 in ransom money strapped to his waist, says ABC News via Pittsburgh's Action News 4. Who he was and whether he even survived the jump remains unknown to this day. But Eric Ulis, a private investigator, believes some progress has been made. See, Cooper left a tie behind on the plane that DNA analysis found to have microscopic pieces of metal on it. Recent tests have linked those fragments to a factory in Pittsburgh at the time, which made parts for Boeing planes, the only place they actually could have come from. The FBI may have officially closed the books on this case as of 6 years ago, but Ulis strongly thinks DB may have been one Vince Peterson, who worked at the factory as a titanium research engineer and who would have been around the right age and had the background to pull something like that off in an airplane. Says Ulis, quote, "It doesn't obviously prove that Vince Peterson is DB Cooper, but it certainly is intriguing." That wraps up today's episode. For even more news, pay a visit to PennLive.com. And please remember to rate this podcast and to email me at todayinpa@PennLive.com with any stories or thoughts you may have. Thanks ahead of time, and of course, thanks for listening. I'm Claudia Dimuro, and I'll be back again tomorrow with another round of Today in PA. This podcast is brought to you by Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania. With a new year may come new windows or doors, and you can currently get $400 off every window and $800 off every door at Renewal by Andersen of Central Pennsylvania from now through January 31st. Call 717-727-7558 or drop by rbacentralpa.com/deals for more information.